We'll be getting breaking news coming in from Mexico, where a cartel leader has been killed in raid. Drug lord El Mencho has been killed by the Mexican army, which has in fact led to a massive blowback. Meanwhile, the Indian embassy has also issued an advisory to all its nationals on Mexico, and this is what the advisory says. The Indian advisory says that there are ongoing security operations and related road blockages and criminal activity. Indian nationals in the state of Jalisco, including areas of Puerto Vallarta, Chapala and Guadalajara, are areas of Michoacan State, Guerrero State and Nuevo Leon State, should shelter in place until further notice. Remember, this comes after the fallout of the Jalisco drug cartel head El Mencho being killed by Mexican army, by Mexican soldiers. Meanwhile, Indians have been suggested by the Indian consulate to avoid areas around law enforcement activity, to be aware of their surroundings, where they are, where they might be going, to seek shelter and minimize any unnecessary movement outside their shelter, the place Indians find themselves in at the current location. Indians are also being asked to monitor local media for updates. Not only this, the Indian advisory also clearly mentions that Indian nationals must follow the directions of local authorities and in case of emergencies, call 911. Very importantly, that's the helpline number India has put out for Indian nationals who are currently stuck in Mexico, where there's widespread violence underway after the Mexican authorities killed Jalisco drug cartel's head El Mencho. Now, India has issued an advisory to its nationals which asks them to follow the instructions of local authorities and dial 911 in case of emergencies. They're further asked to avoid crowds, keep their family and friends advised of your location and also their well-being via phone, text and social media. Now, Mexico's most powerful cartel leader has been killed. That's right. Now, the Mexican army says it killed Nemesio Ruben Oseguera Cervantes, better known as El Mencho. He was the head of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. Federal forces launched a pre-dawn operation Sunday in Tapalpa, around 2 hours southwest of Guadalajara in the Jalisco state, where troops came under heavy fire. We're getting to learn 4 people were also killed at this very scene of this confrontation shootout that took place between Mexican authorities and the Jalisco drug cartel members. Meanwhile, 3 more, including Oseguera here, the El Mencho, the head of the Jalisco cartel, were wounded and later died while being flown to Mexico City. 2 suspects have also been arrested. Meanwhile, Mexican authorities have seized armored vehicles, rocket launchers and other weapons from the from members of the drug cartel. Meanwhile, 3 Mexican soldiers have also been wounded and are receiving treatment. But retaliation followed just within hours. More than 10 vehicles were set ablaze in Puerto Vallarta. We were just mentioning roads have been blocked. Thick black smoke is riding over the tourist city all across the Jalisco state. But the brunt of the brunt is being borne most by Puerto Vallarta area. Now, we also have visuals of thick black smoke, plumes of smoke rising over the tourist city. Several OXXO convenience stores, by the way, have also been burnt or vandalized across the state. Talking of schools, schools across the state have been asked to remain shut. Meanwhile, public transportation has also been suspended in multiple zones. As we speak, mass events have been cancelled, and also at the Guadalajara International Airport, operations have been heavily hit and secured. Some flights were even diverted. Air Canada suspended services to Puerto Vallarta, citing security concerns. Not only this, the US State Department, Canada's embassy, and even New Delhi are urging citizens in the Jalisco state and several other states, in fact, to shelter in place. Meanwhile, officials say a statewide code red situation remains active as we get you this broadcast. Now, the takedown marks the biggest blow yet against a cartel that has been blamed for trafficking massive quantities of fentanyl into the United States. And mind you, this was also one of the biggest flashpoints between Donald Trump and the Latin American countries' drug trafficking. With a big story at 7 a.m. this Monday morning, Mexico's most wanted man, drug cartel leader Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, also known as El Mencho, has been killed during a military operation. That's right, the 59-year-old head of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel died after being seriously injured in clashes between his supporters and security forces in Jalisco state. Now, the killing of the powerful drug lord has triggered several hours of roadblocks with burning vehicles in Jalisco and other states. Drone footage from Guadalajara captured vehicles set ablaze with thick plumes of smoke rising over Mexico's second largest city. Now, this follows the killing of notorious drug lord El Mencho in a security operation. Emergency responders, meanwhile, were seen battling the fires as traffic came to a standstill along the routes. The Indian embassy, meanwhile, in Mexico has also urged Indian citizens in multiple states, including Jalisco's Puerto Vallarta, Chapala and Guadalajara cities, to shelter in place amid the ongoing operations. Well, the situation remains extremely tense there in Mexico, as we were just pointing out. Meanwhile, let's take a closer look at the man authorities call Mexico's most powerful drug lord. So who was El Mencho and how exactly did he rise to the top of the world's most feared cartels? We have the facts right here on the wall besides me. He was born Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes. El Mencho's real name was Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes. As you see right here, he was born in rural Mexico and rose from obscurity literally to lead the global criminal empire. He was the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. He headed the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, also known as the CJNG in Mexico. Now, the cartel became one of Mexico's most violent and fastest growing drug organizations in recent times. Next up, it was one of Mexico's most wanted. Now, for years together, El Mencho evaded capture despite massive military operations like the one we saw took place just hours ago. Meanwhile, authorities considered him among the most powerful and also the most elusive crime bosses in the country. Next up, he was tied to fentanyl and drug trafficking. Now, this is the big one. His cartel was actually accused of trafficking huge quantities of fentanyl into the United States. Now, the synthetic opioid has fueled a deadly overdose crisis across North America and was the bone of contention between the recent friction between Washington and the Latin American states. But that's not it. He was also wanted by the US DEA for capture. That's right. As I was just explaining, the Drug Enforcement Administration, or the DEA, also had placed a multi-million-dollar reward on him. Why? Because he was one of the top international fugitives also sought by US authorities.